Hi everyone, Great Power 60 here. I'm off and running again doing stuff, and basically I think this is like building my stash so that when I'm ready to open up some of my journals, depending on what the style of my journal is, I'll have things. So I showed you some of these things that I had. I have more. I have tons. These are the papers. This is the copy paper that I used my stamp on, and this was the pink one, and this was the copy paper again that I used, and I cut up, you know, little pieces and things that I can put this and back it on something a little more firm that I could maybe make a tag out of, or maybe just rip these up and use them for clusters, which is what I was going to talk about in my other video, and I got carried away. One of the other things that I found in my old coronation book that I was showing you, I found tons of old photos. Now, obviously, these are people that perhaps are actors from their younger days or relatives. I don't know. And since they are not copyrighted, I guess, or maybe they are, and I would not be able to use this in a journal that I would be selling, because I don't know if these are public domain photos or not. I'm assuming they are. We can always assume things, right? You know, I can assume that they are sort of public domain because they're in a book, but then they could be only allowed to be used in that particular book, you know, that they may have gotten. Copyright is so complicated. So, I mean, these would be great for all kinds of different, you know, collaging or using in my journaling or as I'm building it, but I don't know, to be honest with you. That's something I might have to do a little research on. But anyway, so this is what I salvaged from that book, because I'm not going to read it. I mean, I've already read the book like, you know, 5 or 6 times. I'm not going to be reading it again. So I took it apart, and I got all these pictures, and these are a bunch of numbers. These are different sizes that I got out of there. Now, those are the numbers. What I didn't really talk about a lot was words and phrases, you know, that you can get from books. And so I didn't really talk about it very much, but there's, you know, the houses, chapter. These were just cut off of street, chapter again. These were just cut out of the book where I was cutting out the numbers. So I'm just going to put them there for now. I'm just going to try and tidy up a little bit. But you get what I mean. I mean, I'm just kind of going through that. And what I was going to do was start making clusters. You know, I start to make one thing. I have an idea for my video. I start to make one thing, and I end up getting sidetracked because I think of something else. And I grabbed out all of these stamps. Like, I don't use a lot of birds, but wouldn't it be nice to not only stamp them on stuff like this, you know, like stamping them on maybe all of this pretty in black, you know, but also taking them and maybe stamping them on, you know, blank paper here, like stamping them, and then using my, I've got watercolor pencils, I've got colored pencils, I've got different things like that to color them. I don't really color very often, you know, so that might be something for me to look at. So I'm just making suggestions. I'm just thinking, trying to think outside the box. Again, I just have these sitting here from the other day, not really doing much with it. These were the strips off of the 12 by 12. I keep those because This is, you know, it's nice and sturdy, and I mean, not that I would use the word, but let's see, you know, if I wanted to use like the houses or just houses, you know, just tape that on there, cut it off, and put it in a small little box like this that I can grab if I need words or phrases, right? So it's good to keep these. They're nice and sturdy for things like that. Some of them are nice and sturdy. I still have these tickets out that I had made, but I've never embellished. Maybe that's something else, you know, because they're dark, I would definitely want some lighter things in it, or vintage or something in there, but I haven't decided. That's why it's kind of sitting off to the side on my desk, because I'm not quite sure what I want to, you know, what I want to do with them. You know, do I want to cut them up separately and you know, embellish them or whatever? I'm not sure yet, you know, kind of. I think what I'm doing is kind of trying to, I guess, entertain you a little bit, as well as building my stash that I'm going to be using without purchasing things or kits or digitals, etc., 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 instead of buying things, because right now I am at a standstill for things like that. I thought maybe building my stash to get things ready for getting back into my journals, you know. So I've even got these stamps here. And it, you know, doesn't always have to be black and white. It can be colorful, you know, can do all kinds of things. So what am I going to do today? What am I going to do to entertain you today? And what I thought I would do was start making some clusters. Now, I am not great at it. I'm still learning how to kind of put things together. You know, I got a few tips from Septeria 18 when I was making, and I'm looking for them now. Do you think I can find them? Because I had boxes everywhere, and I had, here they are, so it wasn't too bad. You know, I had made these, let me just take them off. I had made these watching Septeria 18, where she had done, you know, these fans, and I see here that I added some of the, oh my God, what is that stuff called? Glossy accents, that's it. I knew it would come to me in a second or two. This could also be a hidden paper clip, you know, to put on. It could also be part of a cover page, things like that. But these are smaller, and these can be added to clusters, you know, very easily. Things that I've already kind of put together, and I know I have a bag of other things like this, circles and squares and things that I kind of grouped together and kind of forgot how clusters are made, you know. But then I didn't add in things like, let's get this out of the way for a minute, because I've got a big box. Oh, I don't know what's in this box, and maybe this is going to be too close for you. Actually, what I was looking for was a box of my ribbons, and I came across, I had that from a while ago. See, I just threw things in here. And I thought I would flip. Oh, now see, there's a lot of bags that shouldn't have been in here. But here's ribbon, you know, that you could use instead of, like, not everybody has lace. Look at, I've got things here that I've had. I think this was a catch-all. A catch-all for, you know, cork tops. Yeah, I was making all kinds of things, but I'm trying to get my attention closer to. Now, this is a really cool storage. Now, I had just clipped those in there. I'll talk about that in a minute, because I got an idea for that. But anyway, let me just look through. So I've got some magnet things here. And rickrack, rattan. Okay, so this is definitely not. This is all Valentine's stuff. Let me take that out of there in case I want to make Valentine clusters. Sorry, I'm just looking to see if I have anything in here that's, no. Okay, let's put this away, because obviously this has to be gone through, and things that are alike got to go into there. But this one is what I took out, the ribbons. Now, you know, I can use all these different types of ribbon if you don't have a lot of lace, which I don't have a lot of lace, but this kind of organza type ribbon can be substituted for lace. This kind of ribbon, and I've got tons of this, can be, you know, you can use that, and maybe if you don't want this wire part, you could cut that out. This is cork. That'd be quirky. Cork. This is Christmassy. But I do have some at the bottom where I do have some lacy ribbon. You know, so I need to source out some into my own stash. Source out, source into my stash. But there's all kinds of ribbons that I could be using to decorate, you know, say if I have pockets or if I have envelopes that are going to be used as hidden pockets or to put ephemera in, etc., etc. So, you know, I've really got to look at my own stash and see what I've got. I wasn't going to do any seasonal things like holiday things, but here's a bunch of hearts. You know, I've got hearts that could be used, but this is all Valentine's stuff that I had. These are the little Nomi things. I think I picked that up last year. Little heart ribbon, bags. These are envelopes left over from, excuse me, I could feel that coming on. I could use these envelopes, just cover them, and I could be easily using these in a journal. I'm just amazed at myself sometimes finding these things. Now, what I wanted to do today was just do clusters. I just wanted to start because I'm even finding paper. You know, I wanted to start making paper clusters, and then I get sidetracked because I find things, you know, like these are envelopes, but I could easily cover that and use that in, or even make a journal with that, you know. So sometimes just looking at your own stash of what you've got, and of course me, I don't know about a lot of you, but being a new, I don't need that guy right away, but we'll look at him anyway. I tended to, and I think I spoke about this in another video, I tend to go out and buy things with an idea of something I saw in a video, and I'll buy it thinking, okay, this is what I need, A, B, C, D. I need these 3 things in order to make whatever it is they were making because I don't have the other tools that they have. So we go out, we go shopping at Dollar Tree or Michael's or, you know, IKEA, anywhere, wherever we go to buy things. And then we end up putting it away, get busy in life, and can't remember why we bought things. And that's what happens to me a lot. That happened to me a lot because I'm trying very hard not to do that. And in my Monday's video, previous video, when I was walking through Dollarama, there wasn't much there that I wanted. I mean, I had ideas for things because I wanted to try to make, I think it was stained paper, you know, instead of tea stained paper, to try and use things like food coloring and things like that. Well, I'm going to need my gloves, which I have to search for. I think it's in my cupboard, so that my fingers don't get all full of dye. But I also need a container this wide. Well, one of these containers that I have that are empty here. Why buy one when I have one, you know? So that happens to me a lot, where I'll see something and I go, oh, I need to buy that. Well, I've already got food coloring, so I don't need to buy any food coloring. Or I have paint, so I don't need to go, unless it's a specific color that I don't have, but pretty much you can mix colors, right? By trial and error. So, you know, I guess I'm just kind of rambling today with things that I want to do. And I thought I would, before I start doing my clusters, which I'm sure that's, you know, what I should be talking about, you know, I'm finding things that, that I could use for, you know, storing things. I'm finding things that I already have. So definitely, you know, check your own supply of stuff. You know, this is a great little, it's already made. I had bought this, I think, at the dollar store. And it's so easy to just take these cards, and I'm going to show you, let me see if I can grab something here. Let me, I don't have any handy, is probably what I'm trying to say. But I know, like, I don't have a sewing machine, so I'd have to glue them and maybe do a hand stitch to make it look like it's been sewn. But I noticed a few people have made, a few seasoned crafters have made books for storing things like stamps. This is kind of narrow, but they've used maybe not book pages, and maybe not this, but some sort of plastic, right, that they have sewn in here and maybe made it in layers, right? But they've sewn it in or glued it in or whatever, and then tucked in things that they want to store. Well, let me see, grab something darker. In here, and maybe it's stamps, and then you go through it. So maybe this would be a book of stamps. So every page they would have slots, maybe just big enough for a stamp. And I was thinking, well, I don't have a sewing machine, but maybe I could glue it, or maybe I could cut out pages from our pocket letters, you know, the pocket letter sleeves, the trading card sleeves, you know, cutting those out and gluing those down and using them for storing things in a booklet like this. Like maybe I would want to store all my vintage stamps, or maybe I would want to store, you know, whatever. I thought that was a really great idea. I haven't tried it yet, and when I do, I will definitely show you, because there's a lot of times, I mean, this is okay for the numbers because I've just cut these out, and that's great. But sometimes when you have other things that you want to store in a booklet, and it doesn't necessarily, you know, we came up with these cluster books that you're going to, you know, rip out. I mean, if I had put these on here, it's kind of big, but I probably would have ripped it out, glued it permanently on there, and used that in, you know, in a journal. So that's one thing. I do have another video I want to do on doing clusters with my stamps. I think it's going to be fun to do that. And I was going to use these, but it's very thin. You know, I mean, this one's a little more sturdy. But give me a second, I'll get some paper here. Here's my box of lace, etc., rickrack, and different things that I have in here. So I have a good stock of lacy things. I don't really have big pieces of lace, but anyway, that's a good source for me. This is in my stash. I've also got these flat flowers where I can cut off that, you know, that big piece in the back and flatten these out and put them on things, maybe take out the middle and maybe put in a gem instead, whatever. So I've got, you know, excuse me. Truthfully, my problem is, instead of mass making some pages, and I mean, I can even use some of these here, you know, just tearing it out, tearing pieces out. I mean, even though that's Christmas paper, I may like that. I may want to put it on there, but it's, you know, too blue, whatever. Instead of just going ahead and mass making plain clusters without plain ones, meaning unfinished, without adding any ephemera or, you know, without decorating it, but just layering it, which is, you know, basically what, you know, what clusters are, you know, getting things ready, maybe just, you know. So instead of doing things like that, I tend to try and overdo. I tend to try and go, okay, I've got this is it. Now, instead of just gluing that or stapling it, you know, let's hope I got staples in here. Instead of just taking it and stapling it together and putting it aside and putting it into my cluster book, you know, with just a little bit of that tab thing on it, and leaving it there and then saying, okay, when I want to use some blues and grays and I want to accent something, I've got it. But instead, I'm thinking, okay, I've made this. Now I need to, you know, I need to add this. I need to finish it. And that's a big problem that I have, is that I'll start this and then get sidetracked with trying to decorate it to try and finish it. And I end up not having a good stock of what I might need for that particular journal. So instead of just, you know, taking this, tearing it apart, gluing these two together, sticking it in a book saying, okay, it's not finished. You know, I may want to put, you know, lace in here. I may want to put, not a glue dot, I was going to say glue dot, halfback pearl in there maybe if I want to maybe rip this or distress the edges or whatever, you know. So instead of just making clusters, I end up getting so caught up in finishing it so that it looks, you know, go back to this, so that it looks like this. This is finished for what, you know, for whatever I'm going to use it for, whether it be a hidden paper clip, whether it be a topper on a page or whatever. That's a finished product. You know, I don't have to do anything else to that. Whereas I need to build, you know, a little box full of these clusters that I've made without thinking, you know, without saying, okay, I've got to finish this. I don't have my goodies out here. Oh, yes, I do. I don't know what I was looking for. You know, and put them in a box and say, okay, you know. That's a piece of a cluster. Now, I've got these other ones that I made a while back. I don't know if you remember the video, but I've done these. And that's pretty much finished. So just to put a piece of ribbon on there and stick it in my finished. This one here needs a little work. This was off a masterboard. And these, like, here's a tuck spot, but it's not quite finished. But then I don't know what journal it's going to go in, so I'm not sure how I want to finish that. So I need to, here's one that pretty much is finished. I may want to, if I can find anything in my mess here, I may want to round the corners a little bit, so that it's easier for things to get tucked in, and then I'm going to have to, go over that. Or maybe not. Maybe just leave it. Who knows? But anyway, building my stash, I need to not only build my stash, but I need to organize it. I really need to kind of get things together. So my weakness, unfortunately, which is why I watch a lot of videos, my weakness is that I have a tendency to, instead of just building up a cluster and, I want to decorate it. So instead of just adding lace, adding, pretty colors together and saying, okay, that's got to be finished, but I don't know, when. It might be something I'll do in the future. So that's my dilemma. That's what I'm finding, I have trouble with. I have trouble with just, ripping things apart, distressing the edges, and maybe either gluing or stapling them together and saying, okay, that's the beginning of a cluster for me. Let's just glue these together. Maybe I'm going to be able to build something onto that. Maybe not. I don't know. But that's what I need to do is slow down the wanting to finish to the end. I don't know if any of you have the same problem. Probably not. It's probably just me. It's probably just wanting to finish a project and not knowing when to stop. Not knowing how to finish it. So that's my dilemma. That's what I wanted to share today. But I did take out quite a few things, and I do want to do some stamping. I want to do some master boards. I've got a couple here ready for me. So I just want to kind of get into the creative juices flowing so that I don't concentrate too much on trying to start to finish one thing it's going to bog me down, trying to figure out, how am I going to decorate this? Is this the right color? Is this so just getting a few things together, grabbing a few, whatever I have, maybe fussy cut this out, maybe use some stamps that I have and maybe taking them apart so that look at it's even got a number 1 on it. Taking off, because I was talking about stamps, and I was talking about having such a supply of stamps and how I should be using them. Well, I can easily be using these in clusters. I could easily, put things together in a cluster and, maybe distress the sides so that it stands out more and stuff. But I got to get my mind set around that. I've got to get myself to realize that I don't have to start a cluster of things because I want to make some. I want to have a supply of them in different stages. I mean, it's okay to just finish it, but then I get bogged down and I only do 1 or 2, and then I end up getting frustrated. So I hope you understand what I mean, what I'm going through, why I get kind of bogged down. Now that would be really sweet on there, and it doesn't, they could be straight edges. They could be, I like the torn edges, but, and I could fussy cut this out and have that sit on there. You know, I'm just trying to get some ideas, but that's what I need to do. Instead of concentrating on making only one and trying to find all the supplies to do one to completion where it can be used right away, why not do some that are unfinished? Why not, you know, not put such a strain on myself to finish it and then go, oh, I don't, my colors don't match. It's not what I wanted to do. It's not how I want it to look, blah, 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 blah. You know, something like this, like that, I don't like, you know, and you got to go with your gut feeling when you're putting things together too. But anyway, this is my kind of whining video where I'm talking about where I get bogged down a lot. Rather than go with the flow just to a point, I want to go to the end, and sometimes that, you know, mixes me up, and I end up going. It's almost like ADD, and I know I don't have ADD, but or maybe it's OCD. I don't know. Anyway, guys, I hope you got something out of this, out of my struggles to. Sometimes perfection is not required all the time, you know. Sometimes making things, you don't have to complete the whole thing. Maybe you can start with an idea and then leave it and go to the next thing, you know. And the other frustrating thing is, you know, a lot of people are using sewing machines. I don't have a sewing machine. So, I mean, I had one, but it was terrible. And I got rid of it, but because it really didn't work properly. And I paid way too much for it. But, you know, I think my daughter has one I could always borrow. But then I've got to spend the day just doing that or at least a couple of days, you know, just doing the sewing business. But then I've got to be ready for it. I've got to, you know, so that's I think because I have been out of crafting for a while, I want to do this and I want to do that. I want to get my numbers. I want to get my phrases and words ready. I want to do this and I want to do that. And sometimes I overwhelm myself to the point where I want to walk away because I've just, you know, I'm just crazy. I'm just like, okay, slow down. Let's just do one thing at a time. And I started with a little book that I have over there, and I started making a list to kind of slow me down and say, okay, I started learning how to make, mass make and collage masterboards, which I love. And then I should take those masterboards that I have, which, you know, I did in a few cases, take them, and then I've collaged them, cut them up into what they could be. Let me come back here, which I've done with this. This was a masterboard, and I cut them out, and then I've added a few things to them. All right. So these can be put in either this could be a belly band, but maybe it's going into something that I may need more decor on, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's going to be fine just like that. I don't know. But it's best to, you know, if I have a masterboard, I should have a container to hold all of these. So that's my problem too. After I'm finished creating stuff, you know, so after I'm finished, you know, one day maybe I'm creating all of these, this is a cluster, making all of these beautiful, wonderful little sort of fan clusters here. I've made it, it's beautiful, but I don't put them into, you know, they'll sit on my desk, and then I'm coming back and I'm going to be doing another project, and then I grab it and I put it in a box or in a pile, but not in its proper place. So that's what I have to teach myself to to do when I'm finished with a project, put it in its proper place. Yeah. Anyway, so now that I've got my desk a total mess, I've got things coming out of everywhere. Now I'm going to have to organize these, put them away properly, and start building little clusters. You know, this is not what I would consider a good cluster, but you know, that's what I need to do. Anyway, guys, that's it for me for today. I'm totally confusing all of you, but that's kind of what happens to me sometimes. I'll come in here to do one thing, and then I'm finding, you know, I'll find what I want to show you. So I'll find my 12 by 12 paper, and as I'm looking for the paper, I'll find a box of things that I've made with little scraps in it, and I'll think, oh, I could use that on that paper, and then suddenly I'm finding myself with, you know, going in 5 or 6 different directions simply because it's like squirrel, you know. That's kind of what happens to me sometimes. I'll see something, or I'm watching a video while I'm doing my crafting here. I'll see a video and I'll go, oh, and I'll stop what I'm doing. I want to try that. And I'll go try it, and then I forget to go back to my other one because I'm tired. I've already done everything. I've maybe gotten a little frustrated by, you know, some of the things that I've done or made, and I couldn't, and I maybe didn't have a tool to do whatever it was I was going to do. So, the life of a crafter. So then I have to calm down and then start fresh again. The other thing I like to do is masterboard. I love doing that, and I love doing it with my paints. Well, now I'm thinking, oh my gosh, maybe I should take out my paints. Let's stop here. Let's stop here. Let's get some organization here so that when I'm working on one particular thing that I want to do, when I'm creating whatever it is I'm going to be creating for that video that day, I have to try and stay focused. So I just wanted to share my craziness that I go through sometimes when I see, sometimes I can be very focused. I'll see a video, there's something I want to try, like for instance, those little fans. I'll make those and put them all together, and I'm happy, and they're end of video. And then other times, I'm scatterbrained. It's like, well, I want to do this. I want to make plastic pockets on these cards so that I can store my stamps in, or store things in that are loose, that are kind of scattered all over, so that I have one place to put that one thing. And I think becoming overwhelmed by how much I have to go through is probably one of the reasons why I have trouble with this. But I really, really would like to make some of these pockets, because I find, you know, if you have this and it's labeled, for instance, stamps. If it's labeled stamps, you can go in here and maybe have vintage stamps, blue stamps, red stamps, you know, and they're in little clear pockets so that you can see them. Now, you may not want to use this colorful background. I'm just using this book as an example. But, you know, you may have it in here, and then you have 2 levels of plastic, and it's 2 pockets. And then you can see through them. And I think that's a really good idea, but I didn't want to do that today, but it was something that popped into my head, and I'm thinking, oh, that's a great idea for storing stamps. Instead of putting it in a box and having to flip through and going, you know, which one do I want to use on this particular project? Anyway, well, thanks for listening to my rant, because obviously this is a ranty. This is a totally mixed up video. But, you know, some of the things that I avoid coming into my craft room because of. I'll try and do one thing. Sometimes I'm really good at doing one thing, but then I've seen 3 or 4 things that I really want to try. And because I have the tools beside me, I want to try all of them, or I want to try one at a time. So anyway, guys, that's it for me for today. I've totally confused all of us, but that's just typical of one of my days. Alrighty, thanks for joining me. Thanks for putting up with my, oh my God, my mixed up video here. I'm going to have to do some editing. Anyway, thanks for joining me. We'll see you again soon. Bye for now.